It seems like former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Natasha Romanoff always gets a bad deal in the MCU. Despite being one of the original Avengers, she's just now getting her first standalone movie. And even though she was the one holding things together during Endgame, she didn't even get a funeral after sacrificing her life to undo the decimation. Even now, this character is finally getting a movie, and all anyone wants to know is, will Tony Stark show up? Fine, I'll attempt to tackle that question, and interestingly enough, my insight is based on a deleted scene from the MCU classic, Captain America: Civil War. Okay, so even though Natasha's character hasn't always been handled the best in the MCU, I do understand why people are excited about the possibility of seeing Tony Stark one last time. Robert Downey Jr. was an essential part of making this fictional universe what it is today, and come on, he's the one who ad-libbed,
"I am Iron Man."
Remember how awesome it was when he said it again during Avengers Endgame right before he, well, yeah. But even though he's gone, people definitely pulled out all the stops to honor his life, which is something Natasha definitely didn't get. He had a funeral, and his loss was a major part of the movie Spider-Man: Far From Home, as his protege Peter Parker and the world at large mourned him. Meanwhile, Talos, pretending to be Nick Fury, didn't even mention Natasha at any point. The reason fans find the prospect of seeing Tony again in the Black Widow movie so tantalizing is because it's possible, without him having to be resurrected or relegated to a flashback scene. The movie takes place after the events of Captain America: Civil War, when Natasha sides with Steve Rogers and they end up on the wrong side of the law. It also takes place before Avengers: Infinity War, and a number of other characters are still alive. Well, it's definitely a plus that Natasha's still alive, otherwise this movie would be really depressing. However, working against Iron Man fans is a recent interview with Robert Downey Jr. He said that his time in the MCU is over, and that he's alighted to greener pastures. Is this a classic case of celebrity misdirection? Actually, it's entirely possible that he's telling the truth about not reprising the role, and that we'll get to see him in Black Widow. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain. Like most movies, Civil War had some deleted scenes that didn't make it into the official feature-length film. Before the movie hit theaters, the studio played some of these deleted scenes at events like San Diego Comic-Con in order to generate excitement for the movie. A number of these scenes involve interactions between Natasha and Tony. It's entirely possible that their interactions would still make perfect sense if they took place during the aftermath of Civil War instead of while everything was going down. As you probably remember from the movie, Natasha started out siding with Tony Stark regarding the Sokovia Accords, before changing her mind later in the movie. If they reuse any of this footage, it's possible we'll get to see Tony Stark in the MCU again, without Robert Downey Jr. having to get into character once more. Fans of this theory are encouraged by the fact that Disney did reuse old footage in order to create Avengers Endgame. The movie involved our heroes going back to multiple notable places in history in order to collect the Infinity Stones, but there's actually less recycled footage than you might have thought. According to director Joe Russo, 95% of the footage for Endgame involving the past was totally reshot. Yes, that even includes classic scenes like Star-Lord dancing on his way to get the orb and Loki asking for a drink. One piece of footage that did get reused involved Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, although Portman did record some new dialogue to be used in the background of the scene. So yes, there is a precedent of Disney reusing footage from past movies, but they do so more infrequently than most people realize. The Russo brothers claim these reshoots were necessary to ensure that the older scenes blended in with the current movie. It's possible that Black Widow will involve a scene where Tony confronts Natasha about how he feels betrayed, but that depends on how the deleted scene matches up to the film. There's another movie moment from Civil War which didn't make it into the final cut but could reveal some insight into Black Widow. This scene wasn't filmed, but it was going to have some dialogue between Natasha and Steve Rogers where she talked about her past in the infamous Red Room. She talks about how she started training with dozens of girls and they became friends with one another. But don't let your heart get warmed yet, because Natasha reveals that they were then dropped into the tundra, a 2 weeks journey from home with only enough supplies for one person. Yikes. After recalling this traumatic childhood memory, Natasha tells Steve, "Don't let them push us into the cold." Even though this bit of dialogue didn't make it into Civil War, it's possible that the scenario Natasha describes could find its way into Black Widow. After all, the trailers make it clear that Natasha is going to be running into some old friends from her time in Russia. Although the movie isn't an origin story, it will undoubtedly contain new information about Natasha's pre-Avengers days, especially since they've filmed scenes in Hungary, and I can't be the only one eager to find out what happened to Natasha and Clint Barton in Budapest. Yet another Civil War deleted scene involves Natasha revealing that she did go back to Russia to search for her parents, but ended up finding their gravestones instead. Maybe this is something we'll finally get to see during the standalone Black Widow movie. I know you're excited to see the Black Widow movie, but in the meantime, be sure to keep up with all the great videos from CBR. Stick with us by clicking on that subscribe button and turning on your notifications, either from right here or on the settings menu of your phone. Don't let that pesky YouTube algorithm stop you from seeing our latest Marvel movie content. Do you think any of these Civil War deleted scenes will be incorporated into the new Black Widow movie? Are there any you're hoping for, or do you think they should stay in the past? Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to click on that subscribe button for more new videos from us here at CBR. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.